Hello everyone, welcome to Perseverance IS. This is a session on the important articles that you have to read for competitive exams for September 22nd, that is Wednesday. Let us begin with the first article. India considers reciprocal steps to UK's quarantine rules. Again, this is in regards to where the UK government discriminated towards India's vaccines, and they are saying that if a person who receives an Indian vaccine visits UK, then they would be considered as unvaccinated and they should have to quarantine for a predetermined time period in UK before being allowed to go about their jobs. So India is also considering similar and stricter rules and restrictions against UK citizens who visit from United Kingdom. Again, yesterday we talked about an article where our ex-ministers have termed this act by the UK government as racist. From that perspective, please do read this article. Now moving on, process to induct women into NDA by May 2022 government. See, this thing is important. This is about women empowerment. Not only that, this also involves Supreme Court decision where they have asked and directed the government to take a decision on whether they are going to allow women to sit for NDA or not. From that perspective, please do go through that timeline of events which led to the Supreme Court directing the central government and the central government coming out in favor of it. And this is important in terms of women empowerment and also representation in armed forces. And if you have to, please do link up with this permanent commission of women in armed forces and also women in combat roles and non-combat roles. Try to understand the difference and try to get an understanding of what is the scenario of women in Indian armed forces. Now moving on, record paddy yield dip in oil seeds likely this kharif. Again, this is in regards to our agricultural output for this cultivation season. From that perspective, read it. Try to understand what are the factors that led to this record dip in yield for paddy and also in oil seeds. Now moving on to the next, amid AU-KUS row, Modi speaks with Macron. This is a potential scenario where India and France can create a new level of bilateral relationship with each other given the fallout of AU-KUS deal. From that perspective, do read this article. Understand what are the areas that they want to cooperate. Potentially, India can cooperate in nuclear technology with France too. Now moving on, Assam Nagaland CMs hold talks with NSCN IM. This is in regards to the insurgency and insurgency organizations, terrorist organizations in northeastern states. From that perspective, internal security, learn what are these insurgency and terrorist groups are and what is the current scenario that is going on there. Moving on, India's religious mix stable since partition, Pew study. Try to understand what Pew study is, what are the outcomes of it. Don't get into the entire details of it. Just get the gist of it. For a prelims perspective, this is kind of important. Now moving on to next page. Now coming to editorial, the first article that one should read for today is the big deal behind the ruckus over AUKUS. Again, this editorial gives you an understanding of why France is so upset with the trilateral security agreement between US, UK and Australia. Please do read it from that perspective. Now moving on, a welcome decision. This is again regards to India's commitment to restart its vaccine Maitri program. Please do read it from that perspective. Again, important to understand what are the factors behind it. Now moving on to op-ed. Why counts is seldom counted. Again, this is in regards to India's census. Again, we were supposed to have our census this year, but because of COVID-19, it had to be postponed. This article talks about a little bit of issues that exist within our census system and census collection methodologies. From that perspective, please do read this article. Now swooping down on algorithms. So recently China has been going against digital media companies and online gaming and offline gaming companies, and also social media companies. Now it has brought in a regulation that on recommendation algorithms. To give you a clarity, recommendation algorithms are nothing but when you swipe on your Instagram or anything, the algorithm will decide what to show, what to be shown next. That is algorithms. So again, please do read it. This is significant. This will give you an idea as to how India can formulate future policy that is actually inclusive but not regressive and not authoritarian. From that perspective, please do read this article. Technology important. Now moving on, changing the agri exports basket. Again, this is in regards to India's food security and also food export. This is very important because it is a matter of economy and value addition. That is how you actually make money. If anybody wants to make money through exports, it happens only when there happens to be value addition to the product that you are exporting. If you are only exporting raw materials, you are not going to make any profits or any money. Again, you end up losing so much money. The idea is, before you export any product, you ensure that the product is value added domestically, so that that amount goes back into the domestic economy. That is how you improve your export basket. That is what this article talks about. Please do read it. Very significant to understand, or possible to give an example as to how India can improve its exports quality and also earn more revenue through exports. Now moving on to page number 8. Ceasefire along LOC expected to hold. Again, this is in regards to border issue. Please do read from that perspective. This talks about increase in number of local militants, terrorists. Try to understand what they are saying here. Just be aware. Exam, maybe we'll discuss it later. Now moving on to the next article. This is very important, right? Truck drivers must have fixed hours. So this is not an innovative concept. Most of the accidents that involves truckers in India is because of fatigue, lack of sleep, and they are tired. From that perspective, this is a potentially a game changer. Currently, check whether there are any rules in this regards or not. From that perspective, just be aware that the government is considering this, and do some little bit of research as whether it is there or not. Okay. Now moving on to next page. No link between AUKUS and Quad. So this is our government saying that both are not linked, both are separate entities. Try to understand what they are saying here, because this talks about how Quad is different from AUKUS. From that perspective, please do read this article. Now moving on to business. Page number 10. India's R value below 1 in mid-September. Prelims perspective, what is R value, how it is, how significant it is, what are the factors that are pointing to the fact that India's R value is low. See, learn what R value is. That is enough for your prelims. Now moving on, ECI to send voter guides in braille. What are these voter guides? Why they are sending it in braille? This is again about inclusiveness. This is about equality. This is about access to information, equal access to information. From that perspective, please do read this article. Learn a bit about braille. Now moving on to business. ADB cuts India's 2021 to 2022 growth forecast to 10%. Why they have cut India's growth forecast to 10%? What are the factors? From that perspective, please do read this article. Plan for tighter e-commerce rules set to face internal dissent. See, what are these e-commerce rules? Read that. Don't worry about the internal dissent. Read about the e-commerce rules that the government of India is bringing in and already had brought in. Now moving on to a significantly bit of an important article. India added 521 megawatts of rooftop solar in Q2 2021. This is again, see whether any programs are involved, any schemes are involved, why this is significant, how this will help in achieving our solar goals, our renewable energy goals. Link this up with that and you will get a good example and understanding of it. Now moving on to world. US not seeking a new Cold War, Biden. This is very important. Yesterday there was an article where the UN chief was saying that he's worried that China and US are going to get locked into a Cold War. Yesterday it was my mistake that I said this might not be important, but I have to correct it. There is a greater chance that a question might be asked in this regard. Please read yesterday's article from the UN General Secretary and try to link it up with this. Learn about Cold War 1.0 that happened between Western Bloc and Eastern Bloc, Russia and US. That is very, very, very important. UPSC might ask questions from this point of view. Okay. I apologize. Read yesterday's article and read today's article. This is very important. Very, very important. Okay. Now moving on, Trudeau's party secures victory in Canada. This is in regards to Canadian elections. Please do read what the outcome are. Apart from that, don't worry about it. Now moving on, Taliban double down on all-male cabinet. This is again a development in Afghanistan in regards to Taliban's government formation. From that perspective, read this article. These are the important articles that you have to read in the Hindu newspaper for competitive examinations. If you are new here, please do subscribe to the channel. Please do click on the bell icon so that you get notified as soon as the videos are uploaded. Please do leave a comment as to whether you like this video or not. If you like it, again you can show it by pressing the thumbs up button. Please do share it with your friends and do leave a comment below. Thank you. Stay safe. Namaste.